Hi, good morning, Rabbi Cooper. How are you?
Morning. Nice to see you again.
Yeah, nice to see you again. Well, since the last time we did Zoom, many things happened, and especially last week, some prominent African American people unfortunately make some anti-Semitic remarks. So, can you explain how you or your center became involved?
Yes, thank you. So, with everything happening since George Floyd, Black Lives Matter, both the movement and the organization, we've been very concerned that some of the groups, including Black Lives Matter, have anti-Semitic elements in terms of their themes and sometimes in terms of the people involved with the group as well. And that has led, unfortunately, to some prominent African Americans in the cultural realm, in sports, in terms of media and entertainment, to invoke Louis Farrakhan, who's the head of the Nation of Islam, and unfortunately he's a great orator, but also someone who hates Jews. So one of the and various Hollywood personalities, including Chelsea Handler, who's Jewish, including Madonna, who is not African American, taken the opportunity to give platforms to Farrakhan's speeches and statements, which are poison for our community. They may put it up because he talks about Black empowerment, but this is a man who has said Hitler was a great man, who says Judaism is a gutted religion, et cetera, and he's been doing this for 40 years. But because of the social disconnect and unrest right now, a lot of these ideas are getting more airtime. They're being said more explicitly. And last week, Nick Cannon, who is known as, he's been on America Has Talent, I think, and the Masked Singer, and other shows that frankly I'm too old to really pay attention to. But someone who's known quite well, Easy Smile, and he has this program called Cannon's Classroom, that's done under Howard University. And he had on a week ago a person who we had actually challenged back in the 1980s when rap music first began, and who also back then brought out the Farrakhanisms. And in the course of their interview, Nick Cannon said, "Oh, so we're the real Hebrews." And then he brought up the Rothschilds and some of the other stereotypes. And when I saw that, we put up a tweet that said, anyone interested in getting a PhD in hate, watch this show. Quite interestingly, and he read the tweet and sent a note asking to meet with me. I agreed to speak with him, but only after he read our report that showed Farrakhan's quotes over decades against Jews, against gay people, and frankly against America, which he did. We had a conversation about a half hour last Wednesday night, and he said that he wanted to apologize to me, and I said, it's not about me. What you said is hurtful to every Jew. So to his credit, he put out a statement which he apologized to the Jewish community and recognized that some of the things that he thought were fact and turned out to be hateful propaganda. That led to a face-to-face meeting last Thursday, which was actually filmed and now broadcast by him, I think, on YouTube for his class. About a 2-hour sit-down. The first time we actually met together, we talked about issues about the repentance, and he's a voracious reader. There's no question this a person who's interested in learning, and that led to an invitation for him to come visit with Rabbi Heyer, Dean, founder and CEO of the Simon Wiesenthal Center, and our senior people here at the Wiesenthal Center Museum of Tolerance, even though technically we're in lockdown, so we can't have meetings in the museum, but he did come over and had an opportunity to hold, I think our most important archival holding is a 1919 report that Adolf Hitler typed and personally signed when he was in a German intelligence unit just after the First World War, in which he outlines that how to really deal with the Jews is not about pogroms, but you have to have a government policy essentially to get rid of them. And nobody ever heard of Hitler back then, but 20 years later, he started World War II. We all know the rest of what happened from there. So I think he got the message. We are talking about now trying to do some media projects. We showed him our Mariah films and see if we can do some things that will help educate young Blacks, young Jews, and young people, across our country and beyond. These people are important, not because of the level of their talent or their personalities, but especially during the pandemic when social media, its importance. Here we are. We're not doing this in an office. We have to do it by Zoom.
Right.
So social media's power is heightened even more.
Mm-hmm.
And when you have people who have access to millions of individuals and might be influenced by those kinds of conversations,
mm-hmm.
it's worth a chance of trying to enter into dialogue to see if you can get a change of heart and be able to educate people, knowing full well that in the past, for example, we had a rapprochement with a famous African American, was a rapper and now he's an actor, and we had a public say peace treaty about 3 years ago, and yet now during this whole situation he's defaulted again to anti-Semitism. So we're not naive, but on the other hand, this is a person who's very open. He's a voracious reader. We even took a few minutes inside a synagogue with him.
Wow.
To show him what a Torah scroll looks like, what the Talmud looks like, what a prayer book looks like, and understand that when I met him, and you can see that on it, he actually quoted for me a famous quote in perfect Hebrew from the Talmud that says, "Who is a wise person? Someone who learns from everyone they meet."
You told me that quote many times.
Yes, and also very interesting, I think you know this story also, because I tell it very often in Japan. There's been many controversies when an apology takes place, and then the executive vice president of a major company says, "Okay, so we apologize. Is that enough?" So we tell the story of the feathers, where and it's a story which I related to him, but I said at the end to Nick, I said, you're actually better positioned to collect the feathers of a falsehood than most, because you have this tremendous platform to reach people. And I must say, to his credit, and I warned him that there could be substantial blowback. Now, this all took place in the midst of an amazing essay by the great Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, who's known by many of the people of my generation as probably the greatest basketball legend of his time. He was with the LA Lakers for many years, but also now as a noted author and a Muslim convert to Islam. He wrote an op-ed identifying openly and attacking anti-Semitism from African Americans. Right in the middle of this whole controversy. Well, I told Nick when it counted, even on the phone, but when I saw him again, I said, yes, we very much want you to apologize, but you need to understand what for sure will happen. Because if it happened to Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, it's going to happen to you. Number one, he was called a Judas. How much did the Jews pay you to write this? Number two, he was called an Uncle Tom. Right? And number three, oh, you're in the back pocket of Zionists. So I said, be prepared for blowback from your own community.
What did he say?
And he said, yes, but when I saw him yesterday, he said, well, you were right. Because, said, all I did was apologize. And I've been hearing, tremendous opposition. By the way, the Simon Wiesenthal Center had to disable its Instagram comments because of the tsunami of hate coming from people who are, pro-Farrakhan, from neo-Nazis. And it's interesting because many of the attacks essentially say the same thing. It could be somebody from the far left. It could be someone from the far right, but they use the same tropes. But the bottom line is our educational arm is the Museum of Tolerance. And part of our job is not just to raise the alarm, but if there's an opportunity to, move forward on mutual understanding and opening up discussion with parts, with our neighbors who we otherwise never talk with a generation who never talk with us, then I think it's worth the shot.
Well, I wish you good luck. Sounds like a very promising project that you can do with him.
Let's hope.
Okay, since this is still, coronavirus time, and try to wear your mask and take care of yourself.
Well, I just want to say for the record that for the majority of our meeting yesterday, we did wear masks. There was social distancing throughout. But there are sometimes, certain things that you have to do where you have to be able to look at the person and understand exactly what's going on. So we try to maintain social distancing, especially when we took this historic letter out of the archives. We sort of, instead of having 15 people around, we tried to make sure that we maintained that distance. So we understand we need to take this seriously. It's impacting all of our families. On both sides of the Atlantic, on both sides of the Pacific. We hope and pray we'll have a vaccine soon, so that also I'll have an opportunity, I hope, within this coming year to return to see my good friends in Japan and maybe even attend, perhaps attend the Special Olympics, if not the main Olympic Games, which we also hope and pray will take place, but no one knows.
Okay, let's hope so. Okay, and until next time, thank you, and take care. Bye.
Bye-bye.